see you all.
Whew. We are filling up.
Wow, 4 pages.
Yep. And they're still coming.
Great. Nice to see some of you again. It's lovely to meet the new guys.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The waiting room is empty at the moment, so let me get us started so we can get going on this. So just a couple of quick things. I wanted to let everybody know that we are recording, and we use we edit down to like a greatest hits video that we put out on YouTube last week.
Be released as a major motion picture in the summer.
It is. It's going to all come together. We're working on the soundtrack. It's very dramatic. So just so you know, this is recorded and will be put out for the public. That's what I have for today. Sid, we're going to send it over to you now.
Great, that's great. Thanks, Mel. Firstly, welcome, all of you. Thank you for coming. It's just to hang out. It's nothing crazy is going to happen. Well, maybe. Never say never. It's really lovely to see some of the new faces, and really, really lovely to see some of the faces who I've already seen in the last couple of weeks. Welcome back, guys. And what I do is try and have a relatively normal conversation with whoever's on the list to have a relatively normal conversation with. Mainly because we don't get to have a normal conversation ever unless you pay to. And that means, you know, flying to some place in the country, buying convention tickets, standing in line for 4 hours, and buying a photograph and hoping I have enough time to look at you before I move on to the next person. So it's just really nice for me to hear a bit about you. So it's a little bit selfish, all of this. But I'm really grateful that you could arrive. And over the weeks, we'll be doing exploring different things. These first few weeks, we're just feeling our way and figuring out how this all works because, well, I'm new to Zoom. I don't know what the potential is, and I don't know what I can get out of it in terms of technologically, if I can figure out a way to pipe some music in that doesn't sound tinny, if I can, you know, there'll be things that I'm going to learn, we'll explore those together, hopefully. Everybody I notice around the world is doing really cool stuff. Now, there's in England, I'm just reading about, if any of you guys are in the UK, the V Choir, where everybody sings, which is kind of crazy. But I'm not going to subject any of you to that today. So who is my first victim? Because I'd love to get talking to someone.
Oh, first victim. Okay. We are going to start with Carl. Carl?
Hi.
There he is.
Oh, hello.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Very good indeed, thank you. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well.
Is it raining where you are? It looks like it might be raining.
It's what you'd call a soft day here. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh, okay. Righto. And,
So,
yeah. It was snowing
definitely.
here. I'm in Western Massachusetts.
Oh.
And it was actually snowing. It can't settle because the ground's too warm, and you know, the trees reject it on principle because they're trying to get leaves out.
Yes.
It's been weird weather.
It has. I mean, the joke is, if you don't like the weather in Maryland, wait 5 minutes.
Yes. That's the same in Seattle, I'm told.
Yes, I'm sure. Thank you for doing this. This was a really nice treat last week. And Mel, thank you for running this.
It's all Mel's
really
fault.
very generous.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the recipe for the faloo madad. That was
the
very
I hope some people tried it out. It's such a good recipe. I mean, I don't know which recipe you looked at.
I forget. I found one online, but it was very tasty, very simple, but very, very good. So I enjoyed that.
You can eat for $1.50. You know, it's pretty great stuff.
And I started watching The Spy on Netflix because of your session because I was unaware of it.
Yeah.
I hated you.
Yeah.
The minute you walked in, because you usually have such a light energy on screen.
Ooh,
and just the second you walked in, I'm like, what? I'm like, did they put something under his eyes? And my wife's just like, oh, so that's why you're watching this. I'm like, yeah.
Well, I shaved my beard and my face for that, and it's very weird. especially for my wife, because she actually feels like she's two-timing me, because I look so completely different.
Mhm.
So she wouldn't come near me for a few weeks, which is kind of fine because I was in Morocco and she was here.
Wow.
But it was really good fun to do, even though I hardly sent any lines. It was all about just presence. And working with Sasha was really good fun, and Waleed was amazing. The cast were terrific.
I was just like the presence when you walked in that first scene. I'm like, what did they do to his eyes? He just looks so angry. I'm like, he's acting.
I just look like that. When my beard makes me look a little bit more cuddly. When if I take it off, I just look sinister, horrible. That's absolutely what my wife thinks now, of course, because I did it for a role. I could have done it some other time, but
Right.
no, I never want to see you again without a beard. Well, all right, that's pretty uncomfortable, but okay. So how is Maryland at the moment?
Maryland's good. I look at the stats. Thankfully, the company I work for, we're considered essential. We're a manufacturing company, and I handle the marketing. So my job is essential. But it's all working remote. It's a little stir crazy. But
what kind of work is it?
We make plastic boxes for industrial applications, controls, sanitize. I mean, some of our clients are using them for sanitizing systems and, oxygen tank control systems. So that's what makes us essential. So we're so we're indirectly helping. So that's nice.
That's really nice. That's really great.
My task is to try to do it without seeming like a complete, capitalist pig.
Well, that's the trouble.
Being opportunistic of it.
That's the
it's
trouble.
a balance.
I mean, that's the difficult thing. I mean, I don't know. I thought I had a brilliant idea yesterday of getting a T-shirt printed up saying non-essential. And I looked online and there are millions of them. Everybody's selling non-essential people T-shirts apparently, so I'm not going to bother with that. But the astonishing thing is that you can really be non-essential and essential at the same time. Because everyone I know around here is obviously essential.
True, but everyone provide. But we all provide pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah.
Again, entertainment is essential because I have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. If I didn't have
you
Netflix,
are the entertainer in chief.
Well, my wife and I are homeschoolers now. We're cooks. We're still full-time working adults. We're tech support for when the distance learning goes wonky. So, thank goodness for Netflix. So, and that there's some variety to find stuff.
Absolutely. I've got a fan on. I'm going to switch it off because I'm worried that it's making too much background noise.
Oh no, you're fine by me.
It's gone.
So I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know there's a list of people here to see you. I have one question, and I asked this to many of your co-stars. Is there something you would have liked to have done more with Julian before the show ended?
Good question. I felt I packed a lot of stuff in. I mean, there was from the holosuite through the different missions, through the different genetic enhancements, through the evolution of the character. I really think I packed it in, and at a pace that seemed natural. And I was really appreciative to the writing stuff. I was a little upset about becoming genetically engineered at first because I wasn't really warned. It was like, oh goodness. I mean, it would have been nice to know that early so I could bedded it in and gone, all right, it's going to come. I'm going to be ready for it. But it was a surprise to me. So I think there's lots of things that were just wonderful. And I can't think of anything that I would have preferred to have done because I really loved the process of follow you, follow me between the writers and the actors. And like any relationship, you said you were married. There are times when you let your wife drag you along, and there are times when you drag her along. And it's sort of you pass off that kind of influence and how the creativity in the relationship. And I kind of find it very much the same in my marriage. We pass off the creativity, and I don't think there's anything I could have wanted that didn't happen. I think that I didn't have the imagination to dream it up, and maybe I don't now. I did like the Section 31 stuff. For those of you who don't know much about this, Section 31 in the Star Trek world is the spy element of the Star Trek world. It's Starfleet intelligence. and I really enjoyed that. But we just kind of started that, and then the show kind of came to an end. And I believe that gosh, the name of the new show, I forget, I've gone, not Picard, but the one before.
Discovery.
Discovery, thank you. I believe they picked it up, you know, with a relish. So that was great to be part of that element, because I think we were doing a really quite a dark look at Starfleet. You know, this was the time when America was being, and the rest of the world really, were being quite introspective about what was going on in the world, and whether or not the kind of capitalism we were getting involved with was as good as it should be, and what was the trade-off. And Deep Space Nine spent a lot of time dealing with that, and obviously terrorism and Bajor and all that stuff. So it was quite tricky to do a primetime show about dark stuff. And I think that Ira, Stephen, and Rick pulled it off, really did a great job.
Cool, thank you. It's my favorite track, the one I always gravitate to now. So,
thank you.
So
I take no responsibility for it, but it certainly was a pleasure to be in.
how are you holding up with the isolation?
Well, I'm kind of a homebody, so I used to spend a lot of months away. And last year I was in, I think, 7 different countries. It may be more. So then that finished in November, all of that traveling. And then this came in March, which is normally when I would normally start working again. I mean, I would love to work just for financial reasons, like anybody. But I'm kind of relaxed. My wife doesn't like it so much. So she flits between her mother and me. So she'll spend a couple of days, because she just needs the variety. And which is great for her mum, especially. So I'm kind of comfortable. You know, I've got a little Xbox here, and I can play games with all the people in England that I hang out with, normally used to hang out with back in the day, and some people I don't even know. And yeah, I can make do. I love cooking. I've yet to start the sewing. I'm trying to learn how to sew, but I did get the sewing machine here from my mother-in-law's. So I'm going to start sewing. That's going to be hilarious. I'm going to be sewing my own mouth shut. And then there are things that I have yet to discover, where it's a really interesting time to dream and to think about what might be, and how to come back to this life. You know, in what fashion am I going to come back? Because this is a nice pause to actually think about who I'd like to be on the flip side of this coin. And I've got a few seconds to think about it.
Cool.
How about you?
Very busy with the kids, you know, so, but definitely, you know, always looking for the next opportunities and the next adventures, and, you know, try to take that moment to take that look. And I know the first thing I'll do is we'll go see my in-laws, and the kids can hug their grandparents, and, you know, and that'll be the start of it. And then hopefully things will get back to normal.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm lucky because my wife's lucky because the in-laws are literally 5 minutes away. And wild horses, I'm not going to stop her going to see her mom through all this. She'd rather not see me, frankly. So she had to make sure that I was completely safe before she came back to the house, so that she could go back to her mom's place. Of course, you can never be completely safe, but she took enough of a risk. It was good. I had to be obviously fastidious about how clean everything was, which is unusual for me.
So cool. Start writing a cookbook and I'll buy it. And
I wish. Okay.
On that note, I will sign off because I know there's a line of people. But again, thank you so much. This was really very kind of you.
Well, it's a real pleasure. And hopefully we'll see each other again as this goes around. Because at some point, we're going to have so many people that I never get to talk to everybody. And we're going to have to start another day. And that way, we get a bit more regular chats with everybody.
Awesome.
Okay.
Cheers, then.
Cheers. Nice to see you.
Bye.
Good luck.
Thanks. You too.
Mel.
Okay. All right. So the next person we're going to has it's a multimedia presentation.
Oh,
From
fantastic.
Christine.
Hello.
Christine. Hi. Good to see you again.
With my fairy lights. So I've been sort of teaching myself how to do charcoal portraits with all of this free time.
Great.
I took some drawing classes in college, which was architectural rendering, but you know, the artist's eye is the artist's eye, and that's that. And I'm gonna show off just a little bit.
Good.
Mel has
We like
the
showing
sharing.
off. Oh gosh. That's
Yeah.
terrifying. I mean, it's very talented.
The next one is my niece. If you're worried about obsessive fanish behavior.
Oh, that's that is just really, really amazingly done. It's beautiful to look at, except for the subject matter.
Oh, come on, you have an interesting face with lines and angles and planes and air and
Thank
stuff.
you. Thank you.
Very artistic.
Great. Let's see your niece.
Plus an easy background too.
No, it's a really boring background, isn't it? It's about.
Yes, boring backgrounds are good though.
It's
I would not want to draw this.
yeah, Dan, can you say? Yeah, absolutely. Where's your niece? I want to see your niece.
Oh, I haven't really started that one yet. I've only got some line work done. You won't be able to see it because it's in 4H pencil.
Oh,
To let it be shown.
okay. Well, I'll have to see it next time.
Okay.
But you are very talented. That's pretty amazing.
Thank you. Well, like I said, it's a learned skill more than anything.
Yeah. Well, I think we should definitely be learning skills.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So I think you're ready to go. And there's a thing you can do, which is really delicious. You can make up or you can buy a tandoori masala, if you've ever heard of that. And I don't know if your family likes tandoori, but you can do it in the oven. You have to soak, basically you take a few bits of chicken or cauliflower if you don't eat meat, and you put them in yogurt with a couple of tablespoons of tandoori masala overnight in the fridge. And you sprinkle, well, actually first you sprinkle the chicken with a little lemon juice and salt, but not for very long, 10 minutes. Then you put yogurt in there and the tandoori masala. And overnight, you've got a lovely yogurty coated pink looking piece of chicken, or cauliflower if you prefer using cauliflower. And then you whack the oven on and stick them in for 35 minutes, turning them halfway through. And you've pretty much got, a homemade tandoori. We now have time to prepare things overnight. You know how you look at a cookbook and you go, oh, I can't do this. It needed to be marinated for an hour. Well, you don't have to do, you've got time to do all those things. And I think we should take time to do all the really lengthy, boring things. I'm making pizza dough at the moment. Oh, today I'm making McDonald's French fries. I'm trying to get exact McDonald's French fries.
Yeah, I can picture that.
Have you made those?
It's actually all about the oil. There's a certain oil they use. And then
they used to use a shortening oil. Remember when McDonald's French fries are really delicious and they stopped being really delicious because they stopped using beef shortening?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a Freakonomics podcast about that. They followed it all the way right back to how it happened. I'm not going to I can't do the oil because it's too dangerous. Because it's a big vat of oil on my stove, and then you put slightly wet fries in there and they just go.
Oh yeah, so, it would be a disaster.
Yeah.
I've had similar experiences with cooking with bacon. Everything kind of pops up.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn, or at least experiment, to find a way to make McDonald's fries in the oven. So I spent all morning cutting the fries, soaking them, then putting them in boiling water and taking them off the stove and let them soak in the boiling water with sugar, because apparently they soak them in sugary water for 20 minutes or 10 minutes. And then you cook them for just 2 or 3 minutes and on a quite high heat. And then you make them, so they're all in my freezer now because they've done the first cook. And I'll tell you next week if they work. They're probably going to taste nice.
Cool.
It's a cooking show. I had
Yes,
no
sometimes.
idea.
I was gonna say.
Oh my God, Andy Robinson!
It's a cooking show. I had no idea I was being invited to a cooking show.
Of course, it's a cooking show.
That's absolutely appropriate for where we are. I mean, what else are we thinking about?
Oh, thank you for dropping by, my friend.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
You know, we've been
Hello,
talking
everyone.
about Garak and Bashir for 2 weeks now, so it's just perfect.
Who?
The 2 guys that we used to do, remember?
Oh, yes. This. Right.
Are you? You look great.
But actually, I have to confess, I was fully cognizant that at noon I had a date. But then I started cleaning blinds, and
Oh.
and then I had to start moving furniture, and then one thing led to another, and it was Irene who reminded me, "Don't you have something at noon with Sid?" And I said, "Yes, it's the cooking show." So, yeah,
It's the everything show.
yeah, right,
It's the whatever goes show. But I'm
absolutely.
doing a lot of cooking right now, so I've got lots of bad tips for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's great.
What
Tonight
else
we're going to eat Indian, Irene.
Is Irene there?
Yes,
Well, send her a big kiss from me.
I will. Sid sends you a big kiss. Oh, great, she says.
Not another big kiss from
Oh,
Sid.
great.
Not another one of
Oh
those.
my God, I hope he's not infected. All right.
Have you?
So, anyway, I hope we're all in good health here, being good boys and girls and obeying the rules. And
Have you seen the gallery view? Have you clicked on gallery view on your screen? Do you have a little button that says gallery view? You can see.
yeah, I did click it, so I've got a lot of people on here.
You can see everybody, and there's a doll, and there's lots of photographs. And
Yes, absolutely, and people are waving at me and pointing.
Absolutely, they're waving.
Yes.
They're waving. Well, it's funny. It's phenomenal that you're here. It's really lovely.
Oh, I was pleased to be invited. Honestly.
Well, you got to be I'm going to be inviting you regularly.
Oh,
Going to
please.
come with a recipe every week.
With a recipe. Actually, Irene is the one the recipe, but no, I don't have any recipes.
Well, I know a lot of these people already, the people you're seeing. And there's a lot of people that I'm not going to mention everybody that I've seen, but I'm going to just a couple of standouts, because there's Kerry Ville, who you will know very well, which I haven't talked to her yet. There's I remember Jacob and Michael and Renee, their mom. They're waving right now. They're always here. You guys have the patience of Job. You're amazing. And there is Kathy, and there is Gail and her husband, the photo on here.
Oh,
There's a lot of people I remember from last week and the week before, like Andrea and all sorts of people like that. But this is our little merry band of misfits. We all hang out here on Friday afternoons for a couple hours and shoot the breeze.
well, that's great. That's great.
So if anybody has a question for Andy, this is probably your time.
Oh.
I think Carrie wanted to just jump in and say hi. And Carrie, this is why I was kind of putting you off. So, because I knew Andy was on his way and you might want to wait until he was here. So if you want to unmute yourself, because I cannot find you in the list at the moment.
Carrie?
Carrieville, where are you?
She's probably making a cup of tea.
Yeah, she's going to be mad that she missed it. Let me.
No, there I am. Can you see me?
Yes.
Hi, Carrie.
There's Carrieville.
Hi, Andy.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
I'm all right. I'm still above Earth, so that's good.
Awesome, awesome. I haven't followed much Star Trek stuff in the last 20 some years, but
Sid and I have been following every minute of it. So, just
there you go.
Ask us any question you like about any of the
Yeah.
show.
I don't know. I just wanted to know how your lives turned out.
Cool. Yeah.
It's a big question.
Oh,
Are you happy? Is things going
What
for
is
you?
happiness? No, honestly, I so dislike that word. I dislike this. I dislike the sound of it. Happy. I mean, it's like some manufactured word.
With the way your life turned out.
Yeah, you can tell how Andy's turned out. He's become proper.
I remember. Good. Well,
It's
But
lovely
It's
seeing you.
good. I mean, listen, things are very good. I mean, I have dark thoughts along with the rest of us, and I sometimes wonder if there is a future for us, Star Trek notwithstanding. But I survive those thoughts and those feelings, and I kind of float above, and not necessarily with the help of drugs or anything. It's like, what else are we going to do? You're on Earth. There's no cure for that, Samuel Beckett says in this great play, Endgame. So here we are.
Okay, we're going to go to Michael Taylor. He actually was going to ask Sid a question about Bashir and Garak, and now he can ask you both.
Fantastic.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Michael.
I know you're going to think that I came up with this question last minute since Andrew's here, but I actually did have this from last week. That's one of my favorite aspects of DS9 was Garak and Bashir's relationship, and I was just wondering if that was set up from the beginning, or it kind of evolved and over time, or how did that play out?
It very much evolved over time. I mean, I wouldn't have got the job if they didn't need to get Sid involved in a storyline, because he was like they were having a hard time among the regulars with him getting him involved with somebody. I don't know what the problem was. I think it was his British accent, but so I was hired for one reason and one reason only, to see if indeed a potential storyline that they were thinking about involving Bashir and this older, mysterious Cardassian would work out. And thankfully it did work out, and then just evolved over the years. Isn't that about right, Sid?
It is. In fact, it worked from the very first scene we did together at lunch on the Reclamat. And Andy and I were thrown in, and we were introduced to each other, and there was a kind of frisson between us, a kind of energy between us that they really loved. And they hadn't seen it. I just hadn't worked with any other characters for me. And, they try to do all the ordinary things they try and do with young leads at the time. They try and make sure they have a love life. And everybody that came in and out of my world just didn't click. And so kind of my love life was really Garak.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, Sid, this is the first time I've ever said this, but I owe you big time. Because if it didn't work out, I'd still be probably looking for another job.
You wouldn't have ended up in the scourge of Star Trek, the stigma of being a Star Trek.
Believe me, the scourge of Star Trek it just changed my life. I mean, it really made everything a lot better.
That's
and
great.
A lot easier too, I mean, having a kind of a semi-steady job for several years.
Well, they were trying to get me fired every year for the first couple of years, well, both years, and it was
the British accent.
It could have been the British accent, but it was the fact that I was rudderless, and the fact that I found you just gave me an anchor, gave me something. Well, I'm going to extend the metaphor: a rudder, not an anchor. So that was really important for me, and it was wonderful. And I kept looking forward to those shows where you would.
No, me too. Yeah. I loved it. I loved our scenes. I loved doing the show. Hated the goddamn makeup, but that's okay. It was totally worth it.
That was a nightmare. I was in makeup for 10 minutes. So I was very lucky.
Yeah,
I turned out, basically, they blew on makeup on my face and I walked out.
Yes, you and Colm.
Yeah, we were the lucky ones. And do you remember that day that there was a massive earthquake and Armin?
I'll never forget that as long as I live.
Were you in the makeup trailer that day?
There were three of us in the makeup. We were the three earliest calls. Armin, this guy, I can almost remember his name. He was a guest star. He was playing a Cardassian.
Okay.
And myself. And it was like it was almost as surreal as what's going on now.
Yeah. Well, what's going on now, I'm reliably told, is the most surreal event in everybody's lives. So you kids out there, this is going to be the most surreal thing that happens in your life. Everything's going to be back and normal soon, we hope. But even the adults here find this completely bizarre. So we've got to find ways to have fun. And that's what we're trying.
And stay safe. It's so important.
Staying safe is really important. Absolutely. How is LA?
LA is getting to where you guys are. It's getting worse here. Yesterday we had the highest mortality rate of the entire thing, and it's just gonna go up for a while.
How is morale?
It's weird. I'm thank God we have a yard. We have our wonderful yard.
Wow.
But occasionally I'll go out for a walk along the streets, and people are cordial. They keep their distance, but I find there's an interesting thing that when you're wearing masks, very few people want to make eye contact.
Yeah.
As opposed to not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
So then that adds to the creepiness, you know. It's like we're all sneaking around, like, you know, the Beagle Boys or something.
Absolutely.
I'm really dating myself. Anybody know who the Beagle Boys are?
No idea.
Okay, in the cartoon Donald Duck, there used to be this really band of really bad dudes called the Beagle Boys, and you only saw them in masks. Anyway,
Okay.
and they
It's a great time.
kind of look like beagles.
Okay. I mean, if you look on the bright side, it is a great time to rob a bank.
That's it. Yo, honestly.
I don't know. He had a
Look,
mask.
the banks are closed. I can't even deposit my residual for $3.20.
Yeah. Well, I can't say what a pleasure it is to have you here, Andy. Thank you.
Oh, please.
For brightening our day. I'm going to take a question from someone and find out.
Do. I'm just hanging out here.
Basically meeting people that I haven't ever met before, and you'll see what a pleasure it is.
But Michael, was that any kind of answer to your story? I mean, to your question?
No, it was great. And it was great seeing you, Andrew, and Sid together.
Well,
So
we haven't found out much about you, Michael. I see some camera equipment in the background, unless I'm mistaken.
Oh, on the wall?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my Ghostbusters Proton Pack that I printed, 3D printed.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
It's all the spare time.
Okay.
Equipment.
Wow.
It's a hobby. So.
What do you do for a non-hobby?
Well, I used to work in IT for about 20 years. And then I had to retire a couple years ago because I got Parkinson's disease. So that keeps me home. But I, find stuff like the 3D printer and games and books and walking and everything to kind of keep me occupied.
Right.
So
You must be fantastic at that. Do you have a 3D printer at home?
yeah, it's back there underneath the Proton Pack.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you have anything? Can you bring is the proton tank really heavy?
No, it's not.
Can you just bring it a little bit closer, or bring us a little bit closer to it?
Yeah, hang on. Let me stop my video real quick.
Okay.
Okay, hang on.
Oh my God, he changed.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's an IT guy, so he's like, this is all exactly how to bring a proton tank to the screen, and then he'll fire it up again, and we'll be like, wow, crazy. Maybe what we're seeing in the background was just a photo of the proton tank, and he's now going into the yard.
He's back,
shed,
though.
I'm here.
find the actual
He's
proton
back.
tank.
He's back. Got it.
Oh, I was not prepared for this. There's a little closer up. It's still a work in progress,
Wow.
but most of it's printed, and I have some lights that I've purchased and just kind of spare parts.
Oh my goodness, that is fantastic. That is amazing.
It's took a lot
Well,
of work.
thank you. Thank you for showing us that.
See,
Yeah.
Sid wants one now. I
Right?
know, I can tell. Sid really wants to get one now.
Dude.
Somebody actually offered to buy mine for a decent amount, and I was like, I put too much blood and sweat into it to part with it. So
Yeah. No, don't. Absolutely. You can make them commercially if you want to, because that's fine. That's a fine piece of
it
work.
takes too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other sort of things do you make?
A lot of Star Trek props. I'm a huge fan. I have like a phaser, and I made a portable emitter for the EMH, the holographic doctor to wear and stuff like that. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Wow. And do you have other hobbies? Are you interested in any other things that you can do right now?
It's when I also started a podcast recently, and it's about Star Trek as well. So you kind of see a pattern there.
Yes.
Definitely.
You're too young for most of Star Trek, so you're just like the butt end of Star Trek. You've just about caught.
I'm older than you think, maybe, but yeah. My first Star Trek was TNG, so that's the one I love the most, just because it's what got me into Star Trek.
It's the first one I saw too. Yeah. It's pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael, do you want to plug your podcast? People in the chat room are asking.
Oh, okay. It's called There Are Four Hosts. So it's therearefourhosts.com, and it's about the new Star Trek Picard show. So.
Oh, brilliant! Can you type it into the message so that everyone can see what it looks like?
Let's see. If I could type. I just wanted to say, Sid, I'm really happy you're doing this, because last week was my first time here, and just really brightened my day, made it a little bit better with all the craziness going on.
Thank you. Well, that's our job.
Yeah, we
It's
all
our job for each other. You make my day a little bit brighter.
Oh, thank you. I think that's right. Hopefully I didn't do a typo there. But yeah.
Great.
We have a lot of fun with it.
Brilliant. Are you living alone?
No, I live with my wife. Luckily, she can work from home. And then all this hasn't affected me because I get the disability money. So we actually are kind of lucky that we're not, hurting for money like a lot of people are with losing their jobs and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know when I'm going to work again. I with no idea. And I don't know, I don't know how acting can start without everybody on set being insured. And for that to happen, everybody has to have a vaccine.
It's going to be even harder for theater. I mean, getting audiences into a room. I mean,
So we're going to do
when
stuff. We're going to just do, this is going to be our new theater. This is going to be our new stage.
Sadly, but truly, I hear you.
And you're going to be our audience, I hope. We'll come up with some stuff over the weeks, and we'll run it by you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A few old gags, few new gags. What the hell?
Yeah, song and dance routine, remote song and dance. You wear the heels, I'll wear the top hat.
Oh, yeah. I don't do well in heels. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll do the heels again. Oh, you get to always do the top hat. Yeah. I'm sure we answered your question. I do worry that I normally spend 15 minutes talking to everybody, but I only get through 8 people in 2 hours. So maybe it's better that I do a little bit faster and other people get to see Andy because he might not be here next week. Not literally. But,
I'm really glad you added that. Does he know something that I don't?
Who else would like to talk to us idiots? That's reprobates.
Oh my. Let's see. Next on my list, I have Emma Shaw. So Emma, I'm going to unmute you if you want to come in.
Cheers.
Hello. Hi, Emma.
How are you two?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
Are you in Britain?
I'm in London.
You're in London.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We're doing okay. Yeah.
Whereabouts are you?
Southeast, so kind of in between New Cross and Brockley.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Just south of Greenwich.
Yeah, I'm basically on the meridian. Like my latitude is like 0.001. So yeah.
Wow. How's life in the Big Smoke?
Quiet. It's strange because it's quiet and less hectic, and you'd thought a crisis would be, loud, but it's not. No. Obviously, it's happening somewhere because we can see it on the news, and like the figures keep going up. But
it's not around you.
Well, the Nightingale Hospital, which is the temporary field hospital the army built, is in the Excel, which is just down the road. It's about a mile down the road. But we've not heard any ambulances, or we've not seen any helicopters and things. So hopefully it's okay. But right. Yeah, it's quiet. But
how are you getting food and things like that?
We didn't have bread week 1 and 3 of the lockdown because the supermarket ran out. But other than that, it's been fine. You couldn't get pasta, but now you can. It's all okay again. So yeah, we're all right. But yeah.
Well, that's fantastic that you've got getting stuff. I mean, in the States, I don't know if everybody shares the same experience, but apart from even lavatory papers coming back, if you go to the big shops, to the big grocery stores, but they've really never had a problem with food here. I mean, occasionally one day there would be something missing, but if you shop early or just go regularly, you'll find pretty much everything. I don't know if it's all over the country. In Massachusetts. How is it not? Obviously, you're right in the zone of your life when you should be hanging out with all your friends and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And what is that like? Are you living alone or are you living with family?
No, I live with my sister, and the lockdown seems to have come in a lot more quick here because you remember last week the girl got stuck in Bognor. Well, it came down really quickly, so you had to stay where you are. So my boyfriend is stuck 23 miles that way. Right. So, but it's all right. I mean, we're mainly worried about my mum and dad and stuff, like because we're fine. Like we'll be all right. But yeah, no, it's all right though. It's
And it would be weird for your boyfriend to just move in with you and your sister.
We're not allowed to.
You're not even allowed to leave the house.
Not allowed to move. That's the thing. Remember the girl stuck in Bognor? We're not. What the Americans talking last week, your lockdown seems to be a bit more relaxed than ours does. We're not supposed to do any unessential journeys. We're not meant to move in, boyfriend and girlfriend. We're not meant to see each other. So,
I think that's a lot more strict than it is in the state. At least in Massachusetts, every state's different. But it's we are allowed to leave the house, and you're obviously allowed to go and visit your mum. And
no, we couldn't do that because Mother's Day they were like, nobody can go home. No one can go home on Mother's Day. You all have to stay where you are. Don't do it.
I think it's a personal choice here. I think if you know that, I mean, my wife and her mum were together when the whole thing kicked off, and they haven't pretty much left each other's side. She makes visits to come and see me.
Yeah. Well, you'll know who you get it from, won't you? You'll know who to blame. Yeah. So.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's going all right. It's going all right.
And how's your relationship with your sister?
Oh, it's okay. We live together anyway, so it's all right. And plus, my job's gone, so she's paying all the bills, so I have to be nice to her. so that's all right. Yeah, it's
what was your job?
I was a theatre producer.
Oh man, your job is gone, all right, baby.
It's gone.
Gone with the wind.
So yeah, that's gone. That's.
Wow.
So I don't know what we're gonna do, but yeah, I'll figure it out. So yeah, I'm relying on her, so I have to be very nice for, I guess, a year, maybe 2. I don't know.
Well, now listen, Emma. Now is the time to start cultivating new playwrights. Getting stuff together that you can produce. I mean it. I mean, I'm kind of like that's because all I'm interested in these days is theater. That's the only thing that I want to do, and I'm trying to line up a bunch of possible. Projects, that once, who knows when, but when the dust settles, to be done.
Yeah, the problem we've got is, so 5 out of my 6 last projects have been Arts Council England funded, which is the government, and they've changed that into a hardship fund for artists, so there's absolutely no funding. So we've been like skirting through on government funding for about 3 years anyway. So that's gone.
Black box, baby. Go black box. No design, no costumes, completely naked. It'll sell.
It will make money. It might. But that's gone.
Revival of Old Calcutta.
Yeah, and some of our theatres who we had booked says we can still have the dates next year, but they can't guarantee they're going to be there because they think they'll have closed. So, how's things there? How's theatre in LA? Is there theatre in LA? There must be.
Just their theatre in LA. I love that. I mean, Emma, if you only knew how it just drives me fucking crazy. There is theatre in LA.
Is there?
Yes, Patricia, there is a Santa Claus. No, there is. There's a lot of it. It's a pretty active scene. I mean, nobody makes any money.
No.
I mean, obviously, it's a vow of poverty. But there's some good stuff. As a matter of fact, just before the hammer came down, I was doing a new play that was a lot of fun. It was a comedy. I haven't done a comedy in so long because people think of me as being this kind of like, I don't know, whatever, and I'd forgotten how much fun it is when people laugh, when you are responsible for people laughing. And I remember the first preview that we had, and my character is a wonderful character, this old fart who was like a member of the theater company. It was called the $5 Shakespeare Company, and it was called that because this company, their thing was that they only charged $5 intermission for a ticket, and I was the old guy in the company who his last wish before he died was to play King Lear, and it was hilarious. It was very funny, and I remember that first laugh I got. And then here I am, this old fart, remembering, oh my God, and the thing about that first laugh is like when you have to hold for it, It's one of the greatest moments for an actor when you have to hold for a laugh. It's,
Yeah.
it's just, suddenly you feel this power and this confidence just surging through you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You've got a unique thing though, because you can act through a mask, can't you? If we all have to wear masks, you can do that.
I don't want to wear a mask anymore.
Well, yeah, everyone's going to have to do it. You can.
Well, I can. And I would if it were Garak, quite honestly. I would.
That's true. That's true. Wow. Well, congratulations to you, because you got arts funding for the last several years. That's incredibly hard to achieve. So you managed to do something quite difficult, and you'll get back, no doubt, as soon as this is all over.
But I think you're right that they've converted
Yeah.
that arts funding into helping, people in the arts out who are doing well.
They have. I don't imagine the government arts aren't going to be the top of the priority list and paying everything back, are they, for the next 5 years?
No.
So, it's. I better go on with my question, Annabelle. I didn't know Andrew Romson is going to be. So I've got a Bashir question, which is, how, because when we're trying to write him now, all of his story and his character is about what it's like being young in the universe. So it's difficult to write now because if you're writing 20 years later stories because he's old. So what challenges do you think old Bashir would have different from young Bashir?
Good question. I'm guessing that old Bashir is probably wondering who he is, and who, like everybody else, when you get old, you wonder, whether you've done the right thing or whether you're still doing the right thing. And because he was really incredibly human, one of his facets was his humanity, and a lot of the so-called aliens were also incredibly human too, and he gelled with Andy's character Garak because there was a real humanity about both of those two characters. Not necessarily lovely or joyful, but always human first. And I suspect Bashir will be wondering about the ethics of his role. What is he supposed to teach the next generation? Because I think everybody is supposed to be, our job is to all be examples to the next generation. And, we're proud of our kids and we want them to be the best that they can be. And the way we do that is show them, frankly, as much as tell them. And because at least in my experience, kids respond to demonstration as much as anything else. And so I suspect that Bashir's world will be in that strange ethical area where he's wondering how he can be the best possible example. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Well, you know what? I also want him to really learn how to ride a horse. How about that?
Never.
That makes sense. That's
Don't-
interesting.
After a long and lengthy answer, don't.
No,
ask.
it's interesting. It's something to think about.
Yeah, he's going to be able to shoot a penny out of the air from a horse. That's the other big thing that he's got to do. He's just got to be able to do that kind of
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And also, can I ask Andrew Robinson a question if he's here? So, your, I don't know if it's an autobiography, whatever Stepping in the Light is, the kind of things you talk about.
It's a memoir, yeah.
Yeah. You know how the method you show for actors and how, you're drawing on personal experience, how would you apply that to writing? When you write, do you do the same thing or is it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is I can't write fiction. I could write about Garak because Garak was like me, and I was, after all these years of in playing this character called Garak, then you create this you make this construct. It's fictional, but it's not fictional. It's a paradox because it's me. But I can't write fiction because I can't make stuff up. So even with the Garak book, that especially the childhood stuff, the later stuff, I made that up. But I had a start anyway, because at the beginning, all that stuff about Garak as a kid and emotionally what was going on with him, that was really right out of my experience. So I forgot what your question was, but that's my answer, and I'm not going to ask if it makes sense.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks very much.
It's lovely talking to you. And good luck. And I noticed you've got a really comfy looking rocking chair.
Yeah.
Either that one, you're a very small
restless body syndrome.
Yeah, I had to rocking it.
Okay, we're gonna go to Alexandra F. Fontanelle, I think. She's got to put her daughter to bed pretty quickly, so.
Oh.
Thank you so much. Yes. Can you hear him? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, there you both are. Nice to meet you both. Hello, real pleasure.
We are not native speakers, so we are going to try to do our best, but we speak French, and I think Andy maybe speak French.
Andy speaks good French, I'm pretty sure.
Ah bon? Bonjour Andy.
Bonjour. Ça va?
Oui, ça va.
C'est qui?
C'est Alexandra, bonjour.
Ah.
Et Juliette. Bonjour.
Alexandra.
Yeah.
Where are you?
We are near Geneva, on the French side, in the countryside.
Ah, okay. Beautiful. And it must be very late there. I'm sorry we're keeping you up.
No, it's okay, but yes, she's going to go to sleep soon.
Oh, well, what can I help you with? What can I talk to you about? Because I'd love to find out about both of you, but I realize that it must be past your bedtime.
Do you have one more light, Alexandra? Do you have one more light source that's in front of you?
But let me try. Is it better? Yeah.
C'est mieux. Merci.
Yeah. Merci. It's very strange here, living near the border, because
my computer. Oh, I'm looking.
because you know the border is closed for non-essential workers, and all the work is in Geneva. The healthcare is in Geneva. The entertainment is there too. So we are a bit stuck here between the mountains and the lake.
Yeah. And what do you both do for fun?
We watch TV.
You watch TV?
Yes, we are cooking a lot.
You're cooking a lot? That's great. What are you cooking?
What are you cooking?
Cakes and pies.
Yeah, cakes and pies and madeleines. And
Your English is really very good. Very good, terrific. And what sort of things? And what do you cook anything by yourself for your mama?
Yeah. Actually, she's going to cook my birthday cake tomorrow.
Ah, with eggs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, you have to take a photograph and show us next time. It's very late, I know there, but I'd love to know. And what games do you like to play? Do you have games on the board?
Yes, and also video games a lot. Her brother Tom is asleep, but he plays a lot of video games on the Nintendo Switch.
Ah, cool. That's great. That's really terrific. And how many people in the house?
4.
Oh, okay. Your brother, you, your mama.
And my dad.
Fantastic. And is he dead too now?
He's upstairs.
And is he working from home?
Yes, yes. He's working for the IT department of his company, so he can work from home.
Oh, wonderful. I love your bookshelf. It's like waves. It's going up and down like waves.
Exactly, yes.
Speaking
there are many DVDs and some of you.
It's really beautiful. It's really nice. That's really great. And are you always at home as a stay-at-home mom? Do you stay at home?
Yes, well, actually, I was looking for a job when this happened, and it's both great because I can homeschool the kids.
Yeah.
I have time, but I will never find something now. So.
No, you won't. And how old are you?
Me?
Not you.
Yeah.
12.
Ah, very good. And your brother?
9.
9. Lovely. That's great. And he's already in bed. He's asleep.
Yes.
Well, we don't know that because he is upstairs and maybe he's playing under the sheets with his console.
Yeah, good for him. That's great. And what sort of things do you like to do for school at home?
Drawing.
Drawing.
I play tennis and piano.
Yes. Les sujets académiques.
Sorry?
Les sujets académiques.
Physics, chemistry.
Chemistry. And do you like? And Mama, do you teach chemistry? Do you have a way of doing that?
We are very, very lucky because the teachers send the course online and I don't have to do anything but check that it's done and sometimes help, but I'm not very good at chemistry or biology or all the things I suck. So she's on. We are both not very good at science. So.
Well, you got when you're 10 years old, 9 years old, you were going to be very good at. You could be very good at science. You don't know yet. You can't say that when you're 9. Did you say 9? 12?
12.
12.
Come, monsieur. 12 ans. Don't.
12 ans. Okay.
These are double figures now, man.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind, I have a few questions for the both of you, actually.
Great.
I will start with Siddig. DS9 is very important for many of us, I guess, because it's like a comfort TV for us. And it helped me through my university years, and it helped me now because I had big health problems. And I just wanted to say thanks first, because you're keeping the fandom alive, and you keep talking about the show and your character. And thanks to you, we still, it still feels alive when there is no content that is made, new content. And my first question for you is, if you ever bring Julian back, could you please swear, because I know you're used to doing that sort of thing, that you won't be killed, because you tend to die on screen a lot. Yes. And I'm pretty... Can you swear that I won't kill Julian?
Okay. I will. I think I can promise I won't be killing Julian. Julian won't be getting killed. It's just not enough. He's the wrong person. He's the wrong person. Absolutely. Yes. Everyone else, they can go. They can get blown up, run over. They can be, mistakes can happen. There's one character who killed himself. I do get killed a lot. It's really, yes. I'm sorry. But absolutely, I'll do that. Okay, that's a promise.
Thank you. And the other one is for Andy, and I'm so glad that you are here. And I've read the sketch in time, and there were many speculations a few weeks ago, because you have time on your hand now, and we were wondering if you were a secret writer online for fan fictions about Garak.
Ooh. Oh, not me doing.
Yes.
No.
Oh.
No.
Because you own the character and you were the first.
Well, no, because other writers have taken it forward, like Una McCormick and people like that. And quite honestly, I'm too lazy, because then I'd have to go over everything that's now been written. What was great was that when I wrote the book, I mean, it was like I had pretty much free reign in terms of my territory. I had to stay obviously within certain parameters and certain information, but nobody knew about Cardassia. There was no mention of Cardassia in any of the series. I mean, in terms of how they carried on their business and lived their lives there. But now it's like now there's subsequent to Stitch in Time. Now everybody's written all kinds of stuff, and that means I'd have to do research. And no, thank you.
But you will be ready to bring him back on screen?
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm a big fan of all the Garak and Bashir fan fictions, and I would like to say thanks to everyone who is producing all the fine art and fan fictions that we are seeing. Every day there's something that is produced, and when you have many time on your hands, when you're a mom at home and the kids are away, or now because we are all in the lockdown, it's so. I won't say it's life-saving, but it keeps you going when you have something to look forward to. And I'm looking forward to all the great art that is made. So thank you, everyone. I know there are many there tonight, and I'm the cheerleader for the fandom. I'm there to like and comment on the fics and arts, and that keeps me going. So thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to extend the same thanks to all you guys out there doing this stuff, because you're helping so many people.
Yes.
That's great.
Do you speak French, Siddig?
Only when I have to. I'd be too embarrassed now. I mean, when I go to France, I try and remember, and when I'm in Morocco, I do the best I can. And it's one of those things that I would just be ashamed right now in front of 90 people to practice my French.
Mais je vous ai entendu dans un film français avec Guillaume Canet.
I've spoken in films, and I will learn. There was L'Espion, which I made.
It's a great movie. Yeah.
Days ago, yeah, which I could speak some French. I can understand a lot of French, and but my French is from school. You know, what I learned at school, I still have. And but your French, your English is both of you, much better than my French. It's a much better way to communicate, especially with a lot of English people. But one day I'll be more brave.
Merci beaucoup de faire ça toutes les semaines, en tout cas.
Merci.
I'm gonna mute and let somebody else who is more fluent than I speak.
Very much, both of you, and have a lovely, peaceful sleep when you finally get to sleep, and have a good day tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Lovely to meet you both. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
I'm going to jump in with a question from the chat room for Andy. Do you have any idea if A Stitch in Time is going to be re-released? A lot of people are wanting to find it. They can only find old copies that are very expensive.
It kills me. I mean these, you know, I mean, there was this great, I mean, you know, and probably some of you were involved with trying to get, you know, a petition going to get me to at least do an audio version of it, which I appreciate, because I would love to have done that. You know, I would love to do that. But I mean, you know, it's a huge corporation. I have no idea, you know, how they run their business. The woman who is my editor there is long gone, so I have no idea.
Okay, maybe time for another petition.
Surely you can do, Andy, an audio book of your own book for free.
Well, that's a good question. I would do that, and just let it out there. You know, that's not a bad idea, because I mean,
it's worth asking first, but that's
yeah, because then people, you know, I mean, like if it's not a money making thing.
Yeah, it may be just a great thing for people's morale.
Yeah, and plus I think they've been sold. Simon & Schuster and Pocketbooks now. I mean, it's corporate America.
Yeah.
You know, and need I say more?
Yeah.
But that free, you know, that's I was thinking about that.
That's often the way through. That's often the way past. Because some people are ashamed to sue you for something you're doing as a service, just for free.
No, that would be no problem with me. And that would be actually a really nice project now to do. I mean, if I were set up for that, which of course,
absolutely.
Being
just stick it on YouTube.
A technophobe, I am absolutely not.
All right. Well, thank you for that information. A lot of people have been wondering, and you know, you've got a fan base if you decide to go the audio route.
Thank you. That's great to know.
All right, we're going to go to Kay. She's been waiting patiently. Kay, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi.
Super patient, Kay.
Hello.
Okay.
How are you guys going?
Very good indeed, thank you. Are you in Australia?
Yes. Yep, I'm in Melbourne, Australia. So
Wow,
it's currently
fantastic. I'm just guessing.
6:37 in the morning here,
That's right.
which
I'm
is
just guessing because of A, your accent, but B, the light.
Her accent.
yeah. Well,
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
that's a great ear you have. Wow.
Well, also Australian people tend to say "how you going," which is instead of "how you doing" in America.
How you going?
And "how are you" in England.
I hadn't actually thought of that before, but
Yeah.
now that you mention it, yeah.
Well, it's a real pleasure.
We have a tendency to use way too many words for our own good. Yeah, the sun's just coming up now, actually, which is
oh my goodness!
a lot of fun.
Oh, I feel terrible to keep you awake. Oh, okay.
Oh no,
it's the beginning of your day. You're just having a
it's pretty exciting. It's not really as spectacular as I was hoping that it would be, but
it does look beautiful from the little crack that I saw. It looks like there's a touch of violet in the sky.
Yeah, actually, maybe let's just go outside. But anyway, how are you guys?
Very good indeed, thank you. How's Melbourne?
Really been enjoying like all of these. It's good. Actually, it's a bit cold this morning, but we'll live.
Wow, yeah, there you are.
Oh, actually, it does look lovely, doesn't it?
It's dawn in Melbourne, absolutely.
Oh, you can't really see it very well.
Oh, you can see it really well.
All right.
I mean, you can definitely see that the sun is coming up where it hasn't even
it's
gone
all
down
pink and
yet.
lovely.
How does that work? That's amazing. You see, to me, you're on the other side of the world, and it should be black here before it's light there, but it's actually still light here in Massachusetts. It's definitely light.
Yes, well, we're quite far ahead of you guys. I mean, it's already Saturday here, so.
Yeah. You've done everything that needs to be done on a Friday. We have
yeah, exactly. I've left
Friday
you losers in the dust.
That's great. And is that a little house you're in, or an apartment? Were you in a little garden there?
Yeah, it's a little unit. So we live in like a little unit, which is nice. It's like not close to the road or anything, which is lovely and
good.
Quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. And how is Melbourne right now? It's obviously starting off, but it's probably quite lovely. It's going to get colder, isn't it? Because you're just heading into winter.
Yes, yeah, which is good for me. I really like the cold weather. But it is weirdly quiet. There's like a whole bunch of pictures that have come out recently that people have sort of sneakily taken, because we're very strict here. People are getting fined for non-essential driving and
right.
Gatherings and those sorts of things. So someone did take a bunch of sneaky pictures of the city, and it's just completely deserted at this point.
The parrots must be really happy, because last time I was in Melbourne, there were parrots everywhere. Are they still local parrots, or little parakeets? I guess they look like. I mean,
yes,
trees. I was amazed.
Pretty much. Yeah, the animals are enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cockatoos, yes, there are a lot of cockatoos.
There are cockatoos, and there's tons of beautiful wildlife over there. And what do you do for when you're actually doing something?
When I'm actually doing something, well, I have a couple of jobs. I have a day job and like a nighttime job. The day job is I'm a high school English teacher, which is a bit of a trip at the moment because we've all gone online.
Absolutely.
So I've gone from like molding the minds of the youth to essentially answering emails for 6 hours a day, which is quite a shift. And I don't know if anyone's ever tried to teach Shakespeare online to a bunch of 16-year-olds before that you can't speak to face to face, but it's very difficult. So it's like a very steep learning curve at the moment.
What's the play you're trying to tackle this semester?
Romeo and Juliet.
Okay, all right. Wow. Well, Andy
so
knows
it's
a lot of Shakespeare.
I can imagine.
I've never done Romeo and Juliet, though. always wanted to do. I actually one of the roles that you know you get to a certain age and you realize, oh well, I won't do that role.
Romeo and Juliet for you.
I always wanted to play Mercutio.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's my favorite character.
Great role, great role. Absolutely. I've never
Very
played
wonderful.
Romeo and Juliet either. I still remember to this day though which Shakespeare plays I did when I was at school, because we only did
Which ones did you do?
We did The Winter's Tale, which I remember very well, and we did Love's Labour's Lost, which I don't remember so well. But Winter's Tale was my A-level, which was my kind of high exam, what I was quizzed on for my high exam. So I remember The Winter's Tale really well.
Did you play Leontes?
Didn't play anything. This is what I studied.
Oh, you studied. Oh, I see.
We studied those two particular plays, and then that was it. They never got to do more than two plays, but we did a lot of poetry and stuff. But that was the only plays we did. But The Winter's Tale I loved. I was offered Leontes last year at the RSC, and for the first time in my life, and I've wanted to play that character forever, but I was already doing a movie. So I couldn't do it. That was a real shame. That it's sort of part that won't come by again. Never, no one will ever offer me that.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
And that would have been awesome.
I know, it would have been awesome. It would have been tremendous. And I probably couldn't have afforded to do it because I really needed a lot more money than I normally need last year. But it was I couldn't have done it anyway. I was out in Morocco or Turkey or Italy or wherever it was, making a movie with the crazy Terrence Malick.
Oh, the Terrence Malick.
Yeah.
Were you're in that film?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've got to see that now. With the invisible, what is it called?
Oh no, I'm not in that film. I'm in his next film.
Oh, it hasn't been released yet.
Hasn't been released. Hasn't even been edited. He's going to take 3 or 4 years to edit it.
Oh, he will. Yeah, he will.
Years. But we went to so many different countries just to shoot it because it was his bucket list of countries that he wanted to shoot in, and we went to all of them, all over the world. Man. And so 16-year-olds learning Shakespeare, you are going to be one of the influential people in those kids' lives. Maybe not quite so much now that you're doing it all online, but my most influential teacher was my English teacher when I was at school. His name was John Binfield. I remember him like I remember some people in my family. And I was terrified of him. He was really harsh, but he was a fantastic teacher. And he really understood what he was trying to get across to us. So he taught us basically the nature of poetry, which is a difficult thing to get across to a 16-year-old. And you really have to perform it in a weird way to get it across. You can't just speak it. You can't explain poetry. You have to emote it. And it was a really fascinating thing listening to him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what makes Shakespeare online so difficult, because it's such an alive text. Like there's so much life in those words that sort of doesn't really come across if you're just sort of reading it. Can
you get your kids to read it? Do they like reading it?
No, they're terrible. It's torturous for them to read Shakespeare aloud. They really hate it. And they don't really take it in while they're reading it either. It sort of almost needs to be read to them. They sort of need to experience it, I think.
Because there's an interesting thing, which I'm sure Andy will tell you, that one of the ways that actors learn how to understand, to unlock text, especially Shakespeare, is to read it with a teacher, and that would be a director. And when you hear the way, the pentameter or the way the verse unfolds, and you understand the nature of how he wrote in prose and then poetry, you go, oh my goodness, he read it to be said. I mean, he wrote it to be said. And the saying of it actually unlocks it.
Yeah, I can understand. I mean, the kids having it, because at first sight it seems like this is impossible, but I do think it's much harder to read silently than to speak it in terms of understanding. I think you're absolutely right, Sid, that when you start hearing it out loud, and it's just well spoken, not fancily spoken. I mean, it ends up being very clear. But
there's a passage in Julius Caesar which I kind of remember from time to time when Brutus is being persuaded by Cassius, and it looks on the page, it looks like quite difficult and dense, but actually Cassius is just going to Brutus, talking about his honor. I know that virtue to be in you, Brutus, as well as I do know your outward favor. Well, honor is the subject of my story. I cannot tell what you and other men think of this life, but for my single self I had as lief not be as live to be in awe of such a thing as I myself. I was born free as Caesar. I can not remember the rest of the words, but you know, if once you start saying it conversationally, it unlocks all kinds of elements and it doesn't look so terrifying anymore.
I think the like it's, what's the word? I don't know. And I'm an English teacher. It is also 6:45 in the morning in Australia, so I'm not quite awake yet. But I think they really respond to it sort of like when I'm reading to them or when they're watching it. But I think if they're reading it themselves, they spend so long trying to sort of sound out every word that the meaning kind of is lost.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, you know, obviously, you know what you're doing. I've never taught anybody anything except a dog to fetch a ball, and that didn't go very well. So you're way ahead of me. Do
you want to hear about my other job?
I do. What's your nighttime job?
So my nighttime job is that I'm a drag king. So when the lights go down, I put a mustache on and dance around in sequins.
That is fantastic.
Oh man. All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, you obviously, we're gonna, at some point, we're going to have to see your nighttime job.
God. So now, do you have a certain persona, one persona that you specialize in?
I do. So my name is Randy, because of Randy Jones from the Village People, whom I like. And yeah, I normally have like a real kind of like twirly darly kind of mustache, and I do a lot of 80s music.
That's fantastic.
So that's my secret life.
That is wonderful. Well, I don't want it to be a secret anymore. I think in a few weeks, will you come back and do exactly that for us?
Yeah, hold on, I'll show you a picture.
We'll just
now listen, your students.
That's me.
Oh, there's Randy. All right.
Yeah, that's Randy.
Great.
So do your students know about this?
The year 12s do, because, well, I fractured my foot. This is a long story. I fractured my foot and I was in a cam boot for a while, and I was at like a drag pageant, and one of the other performers rhinestoned my name onto the cam boot because we were waiting in the green room. And so I showed up at work with Randy on my cam boot, and they were like, "Who's Randy?" And then I had to explain it to them. So yeah, they do. And I try, like, I don't post anything that I wouldn't be okay with my students seeing anyway. So I don't post anything particularly like risque or anything.
I think they'd be really proud of you, to be honest.
Yeah, it's fun.
I think it's a really good example. I think it's really good fun to go, you can be all kinds of fun things.
I think you should recite some Shakespeare as Randy. Then you'd get those little suckers, less reluctant to speak.
Yeah, well, I did do a poetry reading once as Randy, but it was, the poetry was much gayer than, well, actually, I was going to say much gayer than Shakespeare, but Shakespeare is quite queer.
Shakespeare is very, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, 12th Night.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that's great. And do you said you live with someone else? There's I'm just figuring out trying to get a picture of how people are living. I love the idea that there's Dawn in Melbourne.
Well, my husband is asleep in his room at the moment, so we live together.
He's like, oh, we should just take it quiet every single time.
No, He's quite a deep sleeper, so I don't know if I've woken him up or not.
Okay.
It'd be quite difficult to wake him.
And
I did ask him
how's he doing during this?
beforehand.
He's
pretty good. He is an animator, so he still has work coming in because he works from home anyway. So yeah. And, you know, because he works from home, he's pretty used to staying here anyway. I'm sort of the one that's running around like.
Yeah. When are you guys going back to school?
We don't know. So that's kind of the part that's killing me at the moment, because everything sort of is such a snap decision at the moment.
Right.
It could really be any time. Our curve is starting to flatten quite a lot. So they are kind of discussing bringing kids back to school, but then, you know, what if there's a second wave? Do we close the schools again? Do we interrupt that learning? You know, it's sort of.
In the States, I guess they're thinking about doing September return. Most people are kind of out for the rest of the year, and they're going to start again, you know, September. If that's the beginning of the next semester, the year, I think it is. It might be. It's been so long since I had a kid that I cannot, you know, a kid that was at school, I cannot remember.
And we're inverted to you guys anyway. So our school year starts in January and ends at the end of the year.
Oh, well, that's a lot further away. Yeah.
The normal way.
Yeah. Wow, that's really tough. Well, I can't wait to see your Mr. Nighttime, your rant. I'm looking forward to meeting him.
One day I'll just come in a face.
Yeah, come on. I mean, because it's nighttime where you are, so we'll get you on right early. So actually, what's the best time for you? Probably this time, so you can come on late.
Yeah, well, honestly, it doesn't really matter that much, but given that I work during the week, it is good to have it on Saturday morning, so I don't have to wake up super early like on a work day.
Okay, that's true. Do kids expect to be taught on normal school hours?
Yes, so I'm very adamant that I don't want them doing anything outside of school hours. I think that given the circumstances, it's better for their well-being, like the less time they're spending in front of the computer screen. So we're getting through a lot less than we normally would, but I think if the payoff is that they can get outside and call a friend or something in that time that they'd be using to do homework, I think I'd prefer that. Sure, absolutely. Well, hopefully they're having their own Zoom community meetings, you know. Oh, they are. They absolutely are. They're coordinating outfits as well to classes. That's fantastic. Which is quite funny. That's really cool. I mean, I know that people are kind of having cocktail parties online now, where it's... Yeah, well, they're not quite at that stage yet. No, obviously. Well, yeah, no. That's great. That's really great. Well, yes. Sorry. Oh, no, it was just one last thing. I just wanted to say thank you for doing this, because you've been quite an inspiration to Susan, who's been posting watercolors, because you were encouraging them to do so last week. And they're really cool. Yeah, I'm really glad, because everybody needs to think of something fun to do during this time. Everybody needs to go, what would I like to get on with? What have I never had time to learn? What have I never been bothered to try? This is the time. Yeah, it's really exciting seeing people posting stuff. I love that. I'm really glad that you guys are exchanging ideas and talking to each other, because there's a whole week goes by before I get to see you again. Okay. It's pretty great. Sorry. Thanks, Kay. See you. See ya. Yeah. Kay's basically the coolest teacher ever. She's not kidding. Are you? She really is. Yeah. Man. Okay. So we have time for one more person, and that's going to be Scott. Hello. I hope. There he is. Hi. Scott. Hello. Hi. How's it going, Sid? Very good indeed. Thanks. Very good. Good to see you. Thank you. Hi, Andy.
Hi, Scott.
So I'm a huge Star Trek fan, as you can tell by the uniform.
That's really cool. I really like the hoodie version.
Well, yeah, oh, it's wonderful. It's like fleece lined, so it's nice and warm.
My goodness.
Yeah. So I also play MMO games because I can't click fast enough to play first-person shooters. But I have some of my officers from my Star Trek Online Armada here with me today.
Yeah.
So hi everybody who has to look at my face.
Hi guys. Wherever you are. That's fantastic.
Got the patch on.
Brilliant.
And,
I did that last year, so my voice is on there now, isn't it?
Yes. I needed to thank you and Andy for spending time in the recording booth to put lines onto the continuation of your characters. The time that they took to write the story, I keep telling all of my friends that it's like going back home. To walk into DS9, to hear you guys reprising these characters, it's just so tremendous. And coming back home to DS9, it's like we're family. And so in a way, Andy and Sid, welcome to my family.
Thank you.
And thank you for letting me be a part of yours.
You know, I offered those guys, when I worked for them, to do those lines, because I'm an MMORP player as well. I love playing role-playing games.
Wonderful.
And, you know, a long time ago, EverQuest, Ultima Online, those kind of games. But nevertheless, I knew about Star Trek and never did it because it's just a bit close to home. And then they asked me to do this thing. And I said, well, guys, I love playing these games. Why don't you give me a game, give me a subscription to the game, and I will quietly in the background learn how to play it, figure it out. And then as a reward for some quest, the Easter egg would be to meet the Bashir character, but actually have me in some from playing from home, so that you know, it's like, my goodness, you unlock a thing, you did a thing, you got somewhere, you flew somewhere, you landed, and Julian Bashir comes out and says, hi, how you doing? I'm actually here live in some other country. Wow. And here's your phaser as a reward for whatever it is you did, or your badge, or whatever they give you. Anyway, never happened, but it was a good idea. One day we'll do something like that.
It is a phenomenal idea. I will say, last week, Star Trek Online was giving out a giveaway for all of the, in honor of the medical community and all the first responders.
Great.
And as a result, they actually gave out a holographic version of Bashir to all of the players. And so we get to fly around and have you with us on our missions when we're on planets. So
that's really cool.
It's great.
Just to sneak in a chair next to you going, wake him up.
Right. Yeah, it's great to be able to come back to these characters, and of course to Aaron and Renee, who are no longer with us, to be able to come back into the game and interact with them and remember just the wonderful work they've done. Thank you guys.
Thank you. That's really good.
Yeah.
I understand, Scott, that you're a musician.
I am indeed. I've been a pianist for 35 years.
Well, you wouldn't do us a massive and just play something for us as we leave this particular week's adventure, because we would be very privileged to hear you.
That sounds tremendous. I'll hook a video up and let's get playing. Hopefully everybody enjoys the tune.
Thank you.
Okay, while we're switching that, I just want to say a quick thanks to everybody for joining us today.
Thank you, Andy.
My pleasure.
You. Yes, Andy, that was delightful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone's muted on applause and they shouldn't be. You can unmute them all for that. That's really wonderful. Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you. Thank you. That's great. Well, thanks, guys, for another week. Thank you, Scott, for talking us out. Thank you, Andy Robinson, for being such a wonderful guest, coming for coffee.
I'll be back.
Virtual coffee. I think we'll see a lot more of each other. I'm certainly going to get on the phone to you soon.
All right. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Obey the rules.
Have a lovely week.